There are moments in life when silence feels louder than noise, when prayers feel like they hit the ceiling and fall back down, and when your heart whispers a dangerous question you never thought you'd ask. Did God forget me? You don't say it out loud because you're afraid even, thinking it might mean you lack faith. But the truth is, you're tired. You've been strong for too long. You've trusted, waited, believed, and hoped. And yet here you are, standing in the middle of a season you never asked for. The road behind you is hard, but the road ahead looks even harder. And somewhere in between, your soul is asking for reassurance. This message is for that moment. Because Jesus didn't bring you this far to leave you now. You didn't come this far by accident. Every tear you cried in private, every night you stayed awake replaying the same worries, every silent prayer you whispered when no one was watching, none of it was wasted. Even when you felt like nothing was changing, something was happening within you. Faith isn't always loud. Sometimes faith is simply choosing not to give up when everything inside you wants to quit. And if you're still here, still listening, still breathing, that alone is proof that God is not finished with your story. There are seasons when God feels close, when prayers feel powerful and hope comes easily. But then there are seasons when everything feels heavy, when you feel like you're walking through fog, unsure of your next step. These are the moments when doubt tries to speak louder than truth. Doubt says, if God cared, this wouldn't be happening. Fear says, you've gone too far to turn back, but not far enough to see a breakthrough. But faith, even when it's quiet and trembling, says, I don't understand, but I trust Him. You may feel like you're standing at the edge of exhaustion. You've given everything you had, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and now you feel empty. You're doing the right things, trying to live right, trying to trust God, yet the answers haven't come the way you hoped. It's easy in these moments to believe that you're alone, that maybe God walked with you for a while and then stepped away. But hear this clearly. Jesus does not abandon what He begins. Think about how far you've already come. There were moments in your past when you thought you wouldn't survive, yet here you are. There were days when you thought the pain would destroy you, but somehow you endured. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was grace carrying you when you were too weak to carry yourself. The same God who brought you through those moments is the same God holding you now. Sometimes God allows the road to get dark not to harm us, but to teach us how to walk by faith instead of sight. When everything is clear, we don't need trust. But when the path is uncertain, trust becomes our anchor. And even when you can't feel Him, He is closer than you realize. He sees every struggle you hide, every tear you wipe away before anyone notices. He hears every prayer, even the ones that come out broken and incomplete. There is a lie that creeps into weary hearts. If God was really with me, life wouldn't be this hard. But difficulty is not the absence of God. In fact, some of the hardest seasons are where God does His deepest work. Growth often feels like breaking before it feels like healing. Transformation often begins in discomfort. And the very pain you wish away may be shaping the strength you will one day thank God for. You are not being punished. You are not forgotten. You are not too broken for God to use. What you're experiencing is a process, and processes take time. We live in a world that wants instant results, quick answers, immediate relief. But God works in eternal ways. He sees the end from the beginning, and He knows exactly what He's doing, even when you don't. There are moments when faith feels lonely. You look around, and it seems like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck in the same place. You wonder why their prayers are answered and yours seem delayed. But delay does not mean denial. Sometimes God is protecting you from what you're asking for. Sometimes He's preparing you for something greater. And sometimes He's strengthening your character so you can handle the blessing when it comes. If Jesus brought you this far, through past failures, heartbreaks, losses, and disappointments, why would He leave you now? Why would He carry you through the storm only to abandon you in the middle of it? He wouldn't. He doesn't. And He won't. You may feel weak, but weakness does not disqualify you. In fact, it invites God's strength. When you reach the end of yourself, that's often where God's power begins. You don't need to have it all together. You don't need perfect faith. You just need enough faith to keep going one more day, to say one more prayer, to trust God one more time. There is purpose even in your waiting. There is meaning even in your struggle. And there is hope even when everything feels hopeless. God is not late. He is not slow. He is not distant. He is working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. Think of a seed buried in the ground. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. It's dark. It's quiet. It feels like the seed has been forgotten. But beneath the surface, something incredible is taking place. Roots are forming. Life is developing. Growth is happening. Hidden, unseen, but real. And one day, that seed will break through the surface. Your life is no different. You are not buried. You are planted. And what God plants, He intends to grow. There are nights when fear whispers lies into your mind, telling you that you're running out of time, that your best days are behind you, that it's too late for change. But God is not limited by time. He is not constrained by age, history, or past mistakes. He can restore what you thought was lost. He can redeem what was broken. He can create beauty from ashes. The enemy wants you to believe that this season defines you, that this pain is permanent, that this struggle is the end of your story. But it's not. This is a chapter, not the conclusion. And God is the author. He knows how the story ends. If you could see what God sees, you wouldn't be afraid. If you could see how close your breakthrough really is, you wouldn't give up. But faith is trusting even when you can't see. Faith is believing even when you don't feel strong. Faith is continuing to walk even when the road is uncertain. You may feel like you're walking alone, but you are not alone. The same Jesus who calmed storms, healed the broken, and restored the hopeless is walking beside you right now. He sees your effort. He honors your perseverance. And He promises never to leave you nor forsake you. This is not the time to quit. This is not the moment to turn back. This is not where your story ends. You've come too far. You've survived too much. You've endured what should have destroyed you. And the very fact that you're still standing is evidence that God's hand is still upon your life. Hold on. Even if all you can do is whisper His name, hold on. Even if your faith feels small, hold on. Because Jesus didn't bring you this far to leave you. And this is only the beginning. There is a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It just sits quietly in the heart, heavy and unresolved. It's the pain of unanswered prayers, of waiting longer than you ever imagined you would have to wait. It's the pain of doing everything right and still not seeing results. And in those moments, the silence of God can feel unbearable. You pray, you believe, you hold on, but heaven seems quiet. No clear direction, no immediate relief, just silence. And that silence can feel like abandonment. But silence is not absence, and delay is not denial. God's silence has a purpose, even when it feels cruel. Just because you cannot hear Him doesn't mean He isn't speaking. Just because you cannot see Him working doesn't mean He isn't moving. Some of God's most powerful work happens in the quiet, hidden places where faith is tested, refined, and strengthened. Silence stretches your trust. It teaches you to lean on God, not just for what He can do, but for who He is. Waiting is one of the hardest things a human heart is asked to do. We want answers now. We want healing now. We want clarity now. But God often works on a different timeline. Not because He enjoys watching us struggle, but because He sees things we cannot see. He knows what needs to be developed in you before the next door opens. He knows what would break you if it came too soon. And He knows what would be wasted if you weren't ready. In the waiting, doubt begins to speak. It tells you that maybe you heard God wrong, that maybe you misunderstood His promises, that maybe this journey has no meaning after all. But God's promises do not expire. They are not dependent on your emotions or circumstances. What He said, He still means. What He promised, He will still fulfill at the right time, in the right way. Think about how many times in your life things made sense only after they happened. How many moments felt unbearable while you were in them. But later you saw how they shaped you, protected you, or redirected you. If God had explained everything ahead of time, you might have walked away. Sometimes God doesn't explain because explanation would remove the need for faith. You are not weak for feeling tired of waiting. You are human. Even the strongest believers reach moments where they feel drained, discouraged, and unsure. Faith does not mean you never struggle. Faith means you keep going despite the struggle. Faith means you keep trusting, even when your heart is heavy and your mind is full of questions. There are seasons when God removes the emotional comfort of His presence, not to punish you, but to mature you. Just like a child learns to walk when a parent steps back, believers learn to trust when God allows space. He is still watching, still guarding, still ready to catch you if you fall. but He wants your faith to grow beyond feelings. You may feel like you are praying the same prayers over and over with no response. But repetition does not make your prayers meaningless. Every prayer is heard. Every tear is counted. God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. And preparation often feels like delay because we cannot see what God is building inside us. Waiting reveals what we truly believe. When everything is going well, faith is easy. But when life becomes uncertain, faith becomes real. It's in the waiting that your roots grow deeper. It's in the waiting that your character is shaped. It's in the waiting that God removes what would harm you later. Sometimes what you think you are waiting for is not actually what God is working on. You may be waiting for a breakthrough, but God may be healing your heart first. You may be waiting for an open door, but God may be closing the wrong ones quietly behind you. You may be waiting for change in your circumstances, while God is changing you. The hardest truth to accept is that God cares more about who you are becoming than what you are receiving. Blessings are temporary, but character lasts. And God is preparing you for something that will require strength, humility, patience, and wisdom. The delay is not wasted time, it is investment. There are moments when you will feel like giving up, like stopping the prayers, like lowering your expectations so you don't get disappointed again. But giving up in the middle of God's process can delay what He already planned to do. Just because you are tired does not mean you should quit. Rest if you need to. Cry if you must. But do not walk away from the journey. You may feel invisible right now, like no one sees how hard you are trying, like no one understands how much you are carrying. But God sees what others overlook. He sees the private battles. He sees the silent strength. And He sees the faith you hold on to even when it hurts. God's silence is not rejection. It is often protection. If He revealed everything at once, it would overwhelm you. If He answered every prayer immediately, you might miss the growth that comes through endurance. If He removed every obstacle instantly, you might never discover how strong He made you. There is a moment coming when this season will make sense, when you will look back and realize that what felt like delay was actually divine timing. What felt like silence was actually God arranging details behind the scenes. What felt like abandonment was actually deep preparation. You are closer than you think. Breakthroughs often come after the longest nights. Miracles often appear when hope feels weakest. And God often moves when you have nothing left but trust. Do not let discouragement convince you that nothing is happening. Something is happening, even now. Remember this: God does not bring you out halfway. He does not start what He does not finish. He did not carry you through past storms to leave you stranded in this one. The same hand that guided you before is guiding you now, even if you cannot feel it. The waiting season will not last forever. This pain will not define your future. This silence will not be your final chapter. God is faithful, even when it's hard to believe. And His faithfulness does not depend on your strength. It depends on His character. Hold on a little longer. Trust a little deeper. Believe even when it feels uncomfortable. Because Jesus didn't bring you this far to leave you. And what He is about to do next will remind you why the wait was worth it. There comes a moment in every long and difficult journey when something shifts. Not always around you, but within you. You may still be in the same circumstances. The same challenges may still exist. The same questions may still linger. But deep inside, something changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is God doing in me?" That shift is quiet, but it is powerful. It is the moment when faith matures, when trust deepens, and when you realize that even if the road is still hard, you are no longer the same person who started walking it. You may not have noticed it happening, but strength has been growing inside you. Patience you never thought you had has been forming. Wisdom you didn't pray for has been developing. Compassion you didn't understand before has been taking root. God has been working in ways you couldn't see, shaping you for what comes next. And now, even though the season has been painful, you are more grounded, more resilient, more aware of God's presence than ever before. There is something sacred about surviving what you once thought would destroy you. When you look back at the moments that nearly broke you, you begin to see how God held you together when you were falling apart. You begin to recognize that what felt like the end was actually preparation. That what felt like loss was actually protection. That what felt like delay was actually divine timing unfolding exactly as it should. You may still be waiting for certain prayers to be answered. Some things may still be unresolved. But now you understand something you didn't before. God's faithfulness is not measured by speed, but by certainty. When He promises something, it will happen. Not because you deserve it, not because you waited perfectly, but because He is faithful to His word. There are moments ahead when you will see clearly why things happen the way they did. When doors that stayed closed will make sense. When relationships that ended will be understood. When opportunities that never came will reveal themselves as blessings in disguise. And in those moments, gratitude will replace confusion. Peace will replace anxiety. And trust will replace fear. What you're walking toward now is not just an answered prayer. It is a deeper relationship with God. One built not on emotions alone, but on experience. One that has been tested and refined through hardship. One that cannot be shaken easily because it has already survived the storm. God never wastes pain. Every tear you cried had purpose. Every night you prayed in silence mattered. Every moment you chose faith over fear made a difference. Even when you felt like giving up, something inside you held on. That wasn't your strength alone. That was God sustaining you. There will come a time when your story becomes someone else's hope. When the very thing you struggled with becomes the testimony that lifts someone else out of despair. When the lessons you learned in darkness become the light that guides others. God often allows us to walk through valleys so we can help others find their way out. You may have felt overlooked, forgotten, delayed, but you were never abandoned. God was with you in every step, every stumble, every setback. He was with you when you felt strong, and He was with you when you felt completely undone. His presence did not depend on your awareness of Him. It depended on His promise to never leave you. Now, as you stand here, still believing, still hoping, still trusting, you are proof that God finishes what He starts. You didn't quit. You didn't walk away. You didn't let the pain define you. And that perseverance matters more than you know. The future ahead of you may still be uncertain, but it is not empty. It is filled with purpose, with growth, with restoration, with opportunities you cannot yet imagine. And when those blessings come, you will carry them with humility, gratitude, and wisdom because you know what it cost to get here. There is peace that comes when you finally surrender control. When you stop trying to force answers and start trusting God's timing. When you realize that your job was never to figure everything out, but to walk faithfully one step at a time. That peace doesn't remove challenges, but it gives you strength to face them without fear. You may still have moments of doubt, moments of weakness, moments when you feel overwhelmed again. But now you know something you didn't before. God carried you through once, and He will do it again. Your past survival is proof of future strength. One day, you will look back at this season and realize it shaped you in ways comfort never could. It taught you to pray deeper, trust stronger, and hope longer. It stripped away what was unnecessary and revealed what truly mattered. And you will thank God, not for the pain, but for His presence within it. This is not where your story ends. This is where it turns. This is where healing begins to replace hurt, where clarity replaces confusion, where purpose replaces pain. And even if the road ahead still has challenges, you will walk it with confidence because you know you are not walking alone. Jesus did not bring you this far to leave you. He brought you this far to show you that you are stronger than you thought, more loved than you realized, and more guided than you ever knew. Hold on to that truth when the nights get long. Remember it when fear tries to return. Speak it when doubt whispers lies. Because the same God who began this journey with you is still walking beside you now, and He will be faithful to the very end. And no matter what comes next, you can face it with confidence, knowing this. You didn't come this far on your own. You didn't survive this much by accident. And you will not be abandoned now, because Jesus never leaves what He brings this far.